welcome to my channel. This is Virginia, and today I'll analyze this full moon in Capricorn on July 10th at 4:35 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we will see how this will play out for your sign, and for a better understanding, you can check your sun, your moon, and your rising. Your rising is the most important because it determines the whole house system of your chart, then followed by the sun, that is more like your soul. Your rising is more like your ego, and then the moon is more like your internal experience, how you are going to feel about it. As always, full moons are completions as the moon reaches fullness, or confrontations as the moon is opposed to the sun, and terminations due to completions or confrontations, or a mix of both. Now, this full moon is at 18 degrees with 49 minutes of Capricorn, so is ruled by Saturn. And Capricorn is the sign associated with the 10th house of career and reputation, indicating success or hierarchy. Capricorn is the goat that reaches all the way to the top of the mountain due to personal effort. And 18 degrees is a Virgo degree. And Virgo rules the 6th house, which rules routine, work, and health or service. So this is a theme that has to do with career and work most likely. If we check the Sabian symbol and we round up to 19 degrees Cap, is a child with a bag of groceries, which speaks of accelerated growth, for better or for worse, and premature responsibilities. And this reminds me, when I was a child, around that age, maybe 6 years old, my mom sent me to the bakery that was very nearby to buy 200 grams of yeast, and instead I ordered 200 kilos. So and this is back in Argentina, so the world was quite different back then. And the seller said, is 200 grams or 200 kilos? And I said, oh, I don't know, let me go back and ask. And she said, no, it's 200 grams. And I didn't know that she was pulling my leg. And I said, what about if it is 200 kilos? And she said, that wouldn't fit in this bakery. So this Sabian symbol remind me of that experience of having to take responsibilities when you're not yet ready, and still you're able to pull that off. Now, the moon is in detriment in Capricorn because it's opposed to Cancer, where she's the ruler in Cancer. The moon represents the mood, the body, the emotions, motherhood, home. But Capricorn is all about work. So we are in Cancer season. We're in summer season. We don't want to work. We want to vacay. And this moon is out of bounds if you see the table to the right, the upper right. So out of bounds means that it's out of the control of the sun's domain. So this moon is moody and wants to do what it wants to do. And Saturn, ruler of Capricorn and therefore of this moon, the so-called great malefic, though in astrology malefics and benefics don't necessarily mean good or bad, but rather easy or challenging energy, is associated with authority, with patriarchy, with establishment, with rules and regulations, is the planet of governments too. Saturn is the planet of the big lessons in life. I like to call it the great teacher. And what does the teacher do? It grades you, it tests you, either compensates you or otherwise, for better or for worse. Saturn is dense and constrict and is about limits and boundaries, so is the ruler of matter. But Saturn is in Aries, and Saturn is at fall in Aries, because it's opposite Libra, where it's exalted, because Libra gets the scales of justice, and Saturn is the archetype of a judge. But in Aries, the kinetic cardinal fire sign of war, Saturn becomes the general. And Saturn much rather be in the court than in a battlefield, like our politicians, for example. So both the full moon and her ruler are afflicted. And you can see that in the score on the tables on the lower right, which gives an overall negative. Now, this for the collective is more of a completion or a release of something related with career, higher goals and aspirations, or reputation. either due to completing a term, like a graduation, for example, or a change in an aspirations, like a career change, or retirement. That will allow you to pursue your hobby. And Saturn, in conjunction with Neptune, the planet of illusion and spirituality, but also disillusion and delusion, brings the question about if our dreams, Neptune, are realistic enough, Saturn, in order to let go of a career, maybe to favor a hobby. And because these two are in a grand sextile with the outer planets, there's a big conversation about how we need to transform and reinvent ourselves with Pluto, the planet of death, rebirth, and transformation in Aquarius, the sign of the collective, and how radical we want to be with Uranus, the planet of shock and upheaval, to make a sudden change that rocks the boat. And Uranus is at 0 degrees Gemini since its ingress on Monday. So if Uranus was at the 29 critical degree for the last new moon, now at 0 degrees is the most cardinal degree and is an immutable, meaning a changeable sign. So it's uber critical. But because it's a slow-moving planet, is a 7-year transit through the sign, so we are not going to make this change overnight. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Uranus is a higher octave of Mercury, and it's going to intensify all themes related to communication, thinking, ideas, writing, movement like commute, relationship with peers, neighbors, siblings, cousins, is going to favor the tech and AI sector and crypto, etc. The rocking of the boat, it could be both for better and for worse. In the bigger picture with this grand sextile is for a higher reason. Now, recently we had Venus conjunct with Uranus too, so this implies changes in either love or financials, because Venus rules beauty, harmony, love, pleasure, luxury, money, cash flow. And Venus is trine Pluto, facilitating the transformation in how we communicate, like our love language, or how we transact, because it's in Gemini, the planet that is ruled by Mercury, the merchant. But Venus is in an aversion with Jupiter, so both benefics are at odds. This is like a blind spot. So Jupiter is too comfortable in Cancer, and Gemini is the 12th house of loss for Jupiter. So we can run the risk of being too comfortable. But thankfully, the full moon is in a flow with the nodes of fate. The North Node is in Pisces, representing spirituality, raising the bar, and is ruled traditionally by Neptune and in modern astrology by Jupiter. Jupiter is exalted for a whole year in Cancer, benefiting our future. And Neptune is in a conjunction with Saturn, the ruler of the full moon, working together to manifest goals. And in the sign of Aries, which is the sign of new beginnings, which is ruled by Mars, the planet of action, this is action towards new beginnings. And Mars is in Virgo, which is an earth sign that helps us ground. Our intentions is mutable, so we are adaptable to the changes, and is very detail oriented, so there's precision in this change. And Mars is in a trine with the full moon, therefore it supports the mission. So this is a precise move, grounded in reality, supporting the release, whatever this release is. And with the south node of letting go in Virgo, we might give up on perfectionism that keeps us stuck. And Mars is in an aversion with Mercury, and Mercury is in shadow in Leo. So this is another blind spot for what we might need to revisit whatever we do in our creative part of the chart when Mercury retrogrades. And that goes both for creative projects or things more like recreation or procreation as well. And at least there's a mutual reception here, because Mars is in Virgo and Mercury is in Leo, and Mercury much rather be in Virgo, and Mars loves being in Leo. So they're working together, even though it seems like they're not even speaking the same language. They're trying to communicate somehow. So overall, I don't see this as a negative full moon, but rather as a transition to something new that is due. And this is with the occasional growing pains that come with the territory, as what's ideal is not real, and this is very much real indeed. And for Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this full moon really looks like a graduation to you because it takes place in your 9th house of higher education, but also long distance travel or spirituality, faith, goals. Is the house of publishing as well. So there is some kind of accomplishment, something that you have recently finished or you're about to finish, something that you're about to complete, something that closed the cycle for you. And there is a very favorable aspect from Mars in your 5th house of fun. This is the house of creative projects, the house of creativity, the house of recreation, the house of procreation, the house of romance and children. So there is some relationship with this recent completion that you have. And also the full moon is very well aspects with the nodes of fate, past and future. Now with Pluto, the planet of transformation in your 10th house of career, whatever this accomplishment is going to bleed into your career sector, transforming your reputation. And with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in the 12th house of spirituality, deep-seated belief systems, but also the house of institutions and laws, there is something that you're leaving behind. You're raising the spiritual bar, and because we have Chiron there, the wounded healer, we are attending to some wound. Maybe we are thinking better of ourselves. Maybe we are coming to a different conclusion about ourselves. We're letting our old self-limiting beliefs go in order to manifest with Saturn and Neptune a dream about who we want to be. So we can end all psychological patterns that keeps us stuck. And with Uranus, the planet of shock, and Venus, the planet that rules money and love, in the 2nd house of values, we can increase our income. We can increase our self-worth and our value. You can bring new source of revenue that, because is in Gemini, this could be related to any online or technical activity. And with the Sun illuminating the 3rd house of communications and peers in Cancer, this is about, our love language, speaking from our heart, especially because we have Mercury, the communication planet, in our 4th house of home in Leo. So this is all about expressing our love. And then Juno, the asteroid of partnerships, is in the 7th house of relationships and is with Vesta. So we are invested in relationships, and is in the sign of Scorpio. So this also brings up deep intimacy. And with the North Node in Pisces in the 11th house of community, this upgrades has also 7 degrees of separation impacting the people that surround us. So I hope that gave you more of a clear picture of how this full moon will play out for you. And if you need a private reading where I can help you the most, go to astrologybyvirginia.com and know that I will never reach out, so be aware of scammers. With that, I will leave you today. It takes me some time to make these videos and just a sec to like, so please do share the love, subscribe for more, and hit the bell not to miss out. Thank you for your time. See you in the next one. Namaste.